get to that in this segment. Hello, everybody. I'm Marky Bilson, Tri-City Sports Now. But man, you talk about the Olympic hockey like that and what's going on. I guess it should be said this: the Olympic medal count. Lindsey Vonn winning a bronze in skiing last night in a very emotional run, only finishing less than a half second behind the leader. But the medal count for the Americans in the Olympics is going up. And I do want to, since we had that talk, and in the middle of the night, after the midnight hour, the Czech Republic defeating in a shootout, 5 shots for each team, only 1 goal goes in for the Czech Republic. That's all they needed. Really a great performance by the Czechoslovakian goaltender, Pavel Francouz. And I'm telling you, I mean, some of these guys in the KHL, I would be surprised if they're not going to make appearances in the NHL in the future. I could be wrong, but they pay him more and all this. But the KHL's reputation really improving due to these Olympics. However, the Americans who were struggling to get medals, now not so much. Alex Stone will explain more.
The U.S. medal count going up very quickly all of a sudden. Within a matter of hours, the U.S. received a gold medal in women's cross-country skiing, a silver in women's bobsled, a bronze in short track skating, and a bronze in alpine downhill for Lindsey Vonn. And coming up, the women's hockey gold medal game, the U.S. women are assured at least a silver, if not a gold.
That is such a great rivalry, and I realized, when I began talking about the Olympics, I said, there are players from the Sun Belt, from Winter Park, Florida, from Wilmington, North Carolina, on the American team. Women's hockey, it's still, primarily the traditional United States, Massachusetts, New England, Minnesota, that sort of thing, So a medal for the women, maybe. Well, there will be a medal. It's just, is it going to be a gold like it was in '98, or is it going to be a silver like it has been to the Canadians ever since then? So something to watch coming up and exciting. It's going to take place, I think, 10:45 tonight. So another reason to stay up late. There was a reason last night to stay up late. To me, very exciting, but to the Americans, not the result that they wanted.
You lose a game in a shootout, you don't feel good about it. That you don't advance, and the other team does, but that's the rules. We know those rules coming in. But as you're coaching it, and as you're watching as a fan, I hope you're hoping that it ends in overtime and not in a shootout, because it, kind of loses its, it's hard to lose in a shootout.
They had 10 minutes, Guy's shot hit the post. I think it's tough not seeing Finland. You start saying, who do you root for now? Because with Eli Toivonen, Predators fans had somebody to root for on Finland. Not so much now. I mean, do you go for the gritty Czech Republic and all that? Maybe you do, And I can see where you don't want the Russians to win, that sort of thing. Do you go for the Germans? Do you go for the Canadians? On the other hand, as I said, Kolosevic, is skating for the Russians, somebody you know. So, there you go. Tony Granato did say, and he's the head coach of the U.S. Olympians. He most recently was an assistant coach with the Pittsburgh Penguins and actually played not only for the New York Rangers, but before that for the U.S. Olympic team back in '88. Here's what Granato said about how the Americans represented USA hockey.
That's the way it is. So we won one last year in the World Junior Tournament. We lost this one. But like I said, I think the one thing we wanted to make sure we did was represent USA hockey, do what Jimmy Johansson wanted us to do as a team, and we were able to do that.
I don't know. There was a lot of emotions going on. You saw Lindsey Vonn crying after she got the bronze medal. You saw Jimmy Pack, speaking of former Penguins, he was stay-at-home defenseman during the early 90s for the Penguins, playing with Mario Lemieux, winning a couple of cups. And even though the South Korean hockey team, they play hockey in South Korea, they play pretty well. Jimmy Pack, he's a Stanley Cup champ. He was the coach now of the South Korean team, moved to tears, not that the South Koreans did all that well, but that the way they played. They played competitively for a period of time with the Germans before falling 5-2, putting pucks in the net, that sort of thing. So that was something that people, were looking at, if you will, and an emotion. I look at the tears of Vonn. I look at the tears of Pak. Yeah, I was happy when I saw the South Koreans. I started thinking, Jimmy Pak. I remember him from the Stanley Cup about 25 years ago. Yeah, I can remember. He was sort of a cult hero and all that in the NHL. And it's good to see him coaching the South Koreans. I like that. Maybe he has a future in coaching. I don't know. The South Koreans did, out of 12 teams, finishing 12th. But we're not expected to medal by any case. And really the fact that they played hard, as much as I hate that statement, as much as it's cliched, I guess in the Olympics I'm able to go by it. But Pak, Vonn, and also after the Daytona 500, Bubba Wallace, all being moved to tears by either their performance or their team's performance, got me kind of thinking how happy I am to be a baseball fan. Because there's no crying in baseball. Nothing against Pak, Vonn, and Wallace. Nothing against them. Really, I understand. But come on, let's man up a little bit. I guess that might be difficult for Lindsey Vonn, but you get what I'm trying to say. And I did point this out as well, that, had Danica Patrick been moved to tears after she wrecked out of the Daytona 500, she would have been savaged. And, Bubba Wallace can get away with that. So you want to talk about, how the media covers things and such? Well, there you go. Maybe Danica has one last great run in her in the Indianapolis 500. She certainly, I think, has projected herself well in that regards. So again, who do you root for? And now the Olympic hockey and all that. But we had this segue to Bubba Wallace. And Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace, this is going to be a great NASCAR rivalry. This is going to be something that's going to take the sport. Because Denny Hamlin is still angry at Bubba Wallace. He doesn't like that comment about Adderall after the 500. And he's actually been going into Twitter wars, has third place finisher Denny Hamlin. Let me give you this thing here. He said this on Twitter about a day ago. Let me clue the idiots on Twitter. I like your style, Denny. Let me clue the idiots on Twitter what I was pissed off about. I had no issue with how the race ended. Oh, really? I thought you wanted to finish second. I was minding my own business on the bottom of the track, and out of the blue I got ran into, my tire blown, and perfectly straight car destroyed. I'm good with all of that. No, you're not. And I guess now, because I was trying to figure out what, Richard Petty was angry with Bubba Wallace about. What was the first thing I told you? Don't wreck the car. And, well, I guess this is what it's talking about. But side drafting. Think about this. That's what happened. Then, of course, Bubba Wallace afterwards mentioned, boy, he's saying I cut the tire out. I thought that's what Hamlin did to Blaney back in Martinsville last year. What's he complaining about? Loved the statement. I loved that statement by Wallace. I love I'm not taking this. I'm not going to back down. Well, Hamlin isn't either. I go to the media and everything is fine, he tweets out, does Hamlin. Then the last question is what my response is to what Bubba said. I had no issue until not only did he place blame on me, but then he went on to make personal comments about myself. Did he really make personal comments about, Denny Hamlin? I mean, did he really say his mother wears combat boots or he wears dirty undershorts or something? Was that there? Or what? The Adderall, that's about as mild as it gets. I left the media center and saw Bubba 30 seconds later. Anyone who wouldn't take offense to the stupid things that was said has absolutely no backbone. I have one. Now, a fan going by JacksDan43, which kind of indicates he might be a Bubba Wallace fan, 43, Richard Petty, A guy named Dan S. replies to Hamlin and says, you race like that all the time. Last lap of the Daytona 500, and he side drafted you? How dare he? Hamlin, read my message, moron! I got to tell you, I don't think Hamlin's coming out well here. I think he's looking like the whiner. I think he's looking like the sore loser. I think, I do think that people are kind of okay with, Bubba Wallace trying to finish second, side drafting, cut out this is NASCAR. We just saw Amendola pushed out of the way by Dillon, and you're complaining about, you cut my tire out in the side draft. When you finish third, when it's a photo finish for second, really? I don't get it. I do get it. You're a competitor and all this. I just don't think Dillon is playing the game as well as it could be. And he didn't appreciate him making jokes about the Adderall firestorm, The jab as a controversy is that Hamlin found himself last week when he said on Barstool Sports, Pardon My Take podcast, that 70% of his NASCAR peers used Adderall. That's the whole thing. That claim, which Hamlin says was made in jest, wasn't well received by NASCAR, got him into some hot waters. You think? Then Wallace, of course, afterwards, had his comment about the Adderall. Wallace felt that Hamlin initiated the consequence, and Wallace was quite vocal about this. And this is why you get a scanner at the races, because on his own team radio, Wallace called Hamlin an idiot. Then while addressing the incident, here's what the Adderall comment was all about. Post-race comments, he says, hey, Hamlin might need to take some Adderall after that one. Not only is Wallace, it's just, but he's winning that verbal jab. He's not only finishing ahead of Hamlin, he's winning that verbal jab. Anyway, yesterday, Wallace said, I'm okay, I'm not, in a Sirius XM interview about an ongoing text exchange with Hamlin about the incident. Hamlin and Wallace also had a heated altercation in the Daytona International Speedway garage, which Hamlin certainly addressed to right there, when they met in passing from appearances in the media center. This after Wallace was moved to tears and all that about his second place finish. I don't know. Like I said, I do know. And Kevin Harvick has actually gotten in and says, something, sometimes you got to keep your mouth shut. Hamlin not only isn't finishing ahead of Wallace, he's just not looking good here. He's trying to get into a verbal war and he's losing. And he started this in many ways himself with that 70% of the drivers take Adderall. And it's created a firestorm. Gosh, you do need a bad guy, don't you? That was part of the appeal of Earnhardt, wasn't it? He was the bad guy. He really was. He's the intimidator. And you're going to love him. Kind of like James Bond fans started to like Jaws. Maybe that's not the best analogy I could use, but you know what I'm saying. You had some respect for the intimidator, obviously. It began anybody but Earnhardt, and it ended where he was the most popular driver. I don't think Hamlin has that, because it's not sort of the style, it's not sort of the swagger, it's not the confidence, it's not the boldness. He's kind of whining, isn't he? In fact, take kinda out of there. Hamlin, you need a villain. And in wrestling, Hamlin is kind of coming out like, I don't know, the honky tonk man. There's an old wrestling analogy, but the cowardly heel, if you will. They get noticed. They don't get that many endorsements. And so I would say that Harvick, giving Hamlin some good advice, shut up and try to win the next race. And I think that's all that Hamlin at this point can do. When you're getting into Twitter wars with other fans, I think there goes your hamburger endorsements. I don't know if Juicy Fruit or whoever, I'm just throwing out a product right there, really wants now, who's going to want Denny Hamlin to sponsor him? The whiner gets Buy my product. By the way, I've got something here. There's a media story. This won't be a media watch, but ESPN is forcing to make changes in order to placate a sponsor. I'll tell you all about that when we return on Tri-City Sports Now.
City Streets. Fires.